Fumble! Yes, okay. Hello, Dokkanners. What's going on? So we have finally gotten Beast Gohan and Orange Piccolo announced in-game. They are coming. They will be here in 2 days. And they're mid. They really screwed up here. This is so disappointing. So we're gonna take a look at their kits. And see exactly why they are as disappointing as everyone thinks they are. So we'll start out here with the Beast Gohan, or should I say Ultimate Gohan, because he isn't technically Beast Gohan. Sadly. Okay, so let's jump right in and take a look at his kit. Okay, so his leader skill is pretty good. We've got this new category, Superheroes. Now, it's unclear, it has not been clarified yet whether this is going to be from any heroes units, basically any super type units that are from the new Dragon Ball Superhero movie, or whether this means Dragon Ball Super as like the whole anime. That would obviously be a lot better of a category, because then that would include every single superclass unit through the entirety of the Dragon Ball Super anime, which would be a gigantic category. It'd be very, very good. It would bring a lot of new life to a lot of the Universe Survival Saga characters and stuff. So that could be really good, but we don't know yet what that category means officially. But I think with all of the new content dropping from the new movie, just in this celebration alone, and then you add up the few things that we already have, and I'm assuming that there's going to be a lot more to come in the future, my guess that I am banking on is that this is just going to be from the movie, from the Dragon Ball Superhero movie. I would assume that that's what this category is. So we'll have to wait and stay tuned to see what they, what happens when the category actually drops, to know for sure. But that is my assumption. So he is going to be Superheroes and Hybrid Saiyans, 170%, and then he gets the additional 30% for Bond of Parent and Child and Movie Heroes. That is a really solid category. All four of these categories alone are going to be amazing. So putting them together is just going to be otherworldly. Like this leader skill is absolutely one of the best in the game now, for sure. Okay, so then we move on to we'll skip over here to look at his super attack. No, that's the active skill. Okay, so the super attack effects here. So he gets greatly raises attack and raises defense for 1 turn. Causes colossal damage to the enemy with a medium chance of stunning. And then on his 18 key super, he gets greatly raises attack and defense for 1 turn. Causes mega colossal damage to enemy and lowers attack and defense. So the one important thing to clarify here is it looks like he raises attack infinitely, but that's actually not true. The only reason that they word it this way, they say greatly raises attack and raises defense for 1 turn, is because it's only a regular raise of defense, which is I think a 25% raise, and then the great raise is a 50% raise. So yeah, the only reason that those are differentiated is because there's a different modifier on how much they raise, but it's still 1 turn for both of them. If this was greatly raises attack like infinitely, then there would be a comma right here between attack and. But because there's not a comma, that means that the 1 turn affects the entirety of this. So he is not stacking attack. So that's a really important thing to keep in mind when we're looking at this unit. Okay, so let's take a look at his passive. This is the part where everything flops right here. So he activates his entrance animation, once only, obviously. So he gets attack 100%, attack and defense 100%, guards for 3 turns. When there is another Bond of Parent and Child category ally on the team at the start of the character's attacking turn. So if you have another Bond of Parent and Child on the team, then he gets this entrance animation. So that's going to be pretty easy to proc, for sure, especially with how large the Bond of Parent and Child category is. You don't even necessarily need to be running that team. Chances are you're going to have another one of these category allies with you. So he gets 150% stats at the start of turn, He gets an additional 1 key per key sphere obtained, so that's nice. Being an LR, that's always helpful to get key in his passive. Plus an additional 30% attack and defense with each super attack performed, up to 150. Okay, so he needs to perform... Wow, math is going straight out of my head right now. 30, 60, 90... So like 5, 6 super attacks in order to get that off. Okay. Launches an additional attack that has a great chance of becoming a super attack when key is 20 or more. And then attacks effective against all types on the active skill turn or when key is 24. And then he has a high chance of nullifying Ki Blast supers. And that's it. That's not enough at all. So he only guards for the first 3 turns, and then that goes away. Even with the additional 150% defense here that he gets when he launches all of these super attacks, if you're able to do that in the first, you know, 3 turns, while he has the guard up, then he'll be at that full amount of defense that he's going to get, and that's still just not enough. His stats are not, like, impressive. If we go over here and take a look at how dog shit his defense is. Like, the minimal amount of defense raises he gets is not going to be enough, especially because of his super attack effect, only giving him a regular defense raise for 1 turn. This guy's going to get clapped. They definitely overrated the high chance to nullify Ki Blast supers at the end here. Now, while Ki Blast supers are very common, that is nice that, you know, there will be some points where this comes into play and saves you for sure, because there's a lot of places in the game where Ki Blast supers... I mean, Ki Blast supers are by far the most common super attack type, but the fact that he only has a high chance to nullify, like, just give him the full 100% chance to nullify. He would be so much better with just this going from high chance, even to, like, great chance, to give him from 50% to, like, 70%. Would be so helpful. But yeah, so they have definitely overrated that part of his kit. That's why they didn't give him a ton of defense, for sure. So, yeah, and then having attacks effective against all types, like, whoop-de-doo, it really doesn't... Ugh. Yeah, this guy just sucks. He's not that good. He's going to be doing quite a bit of damage, for sure, but defensively, he's just garbage. And the more disappointing part of his kit is right here. So, his active skill is the Special Beam Cannon. This is where he transforms into Beast Gohan, because he's just an Ultimate Gohan card. The only time we even get to see the Beast Gohan portion is right here in his active skill. He doesn't have a transformation. If we go over and take a look at the card art, he would have a button up here to show that he was transforming. He does not have a transformation, so the only time you're ever going to see Beast Gohan is in his active skill. So that sucks. That's really disappointing. Super underwhelming for this big hype character that everyone was waiting for. So you can activate... The activation condition is actually pretty good. So you can do it from the 3rd turn of battle when all allies attacking the same turn are superheroes, or when facing one enemy starting from the 6th turn of battle. So that's definitely not a bad condition. That's pretty usable. But then he gets greatly raises attack temporarily, causes ultimate damage to enemy, and then disables the enemy's action once. He doesn't even get guaranteed crits for the turn. So that's pretty sad, honestly. But I guess he does get attacks effective against all types. So he doesn't really need the crit as much, but still, like, ugh. Yeah, just completely underwhelming. Obviously, he's got a ton of good categories. Being an Ultimate Gohan card, he is, you know, spread throughout the game here, you know, quite massively. So that's good. But yeah, just very, very disappointing overall as a unit. I guess he's got some decent links. You know, All in the Family is a nice one. Blech, whatever. I am tired of talking about this guy. He is just not good. So let's go ahead and move on to the next unit. The next unit that we've got is the Piccolo Power Awakening, who is got a giant form transformation into Orange Piccolo. This guy, I think, looks a lot better. So let's jump in and take a look. Oh, yeah, already you can see. Look at the difference in the defense stats here. 12,000. The other guy had 7,000. Already he's looking a lot better. defensively, which defense is obviously so important in today's meta. Okay, so his his leader skill here is going to be superheroes or Battle of Wits 170, and then the additional 30% goes to Bond of Master and Disciple or movie heroes. So again, a really solid leader skill. I would say not as good as the Ultimate Gohan for sure, but still very, very usable leader skill for sure. Okay, so then the super attack effect. He greatly raises defense and raises attack for 1 turn, medium chance of stunning with colossal damage. And then on his 18 key super, he gets greatly raises attack and defense for 1 turn, mega colossal damage, and lowers attack and defense. So it's identical to Gohan, except he gets the great raise of defense and just the normal raise for attack, and he stuns, which is nice too. That can be useful for certain game modes for sure. So already he's looking better for sure. Okay, so jumping into his passive skill, he gets an entrance animation when there's another Bond of Master and Disciple on the team. He gets the attack and defense 100% and guards for 3 turns. He gets 150% stats at the start of turn, plus an additional key 1 per key sphere obtained. So far, all of that is identical to the Gohan, except for instead of being Bond of Parent and Child, it's Bond of Master and Disciple to activate his entrance animation. Then he also gets an additional, or he gets a reduced damage received by 20%. Just always has that. Perfect. Wonderful. Love that. Then he gets an additional attack and defense 30% with each attack received instead of each attack performed, which I suppose is good because he has, you know, if he's going to have the guarding all attacks and 20% damage reduction for the first 3 turns, if you're putting him in slot 1 and just having him tank everything for you, then he's going to be building up all of these extra defense stats over those turns, so that's good. And then he gets all allies key 2 within the same turn after receiving an attack, which is beautifully built, because if you're putting him in slot 1 to take a bunch of attacks to be able to build up all of these stats that he needs to build, then you're going to be providing those key 2 a lot. Because it's within the same turn, if you're running him in like slot 2 or 3, then he's not going to get as much use out of this part of his kit. So it is really good that he seems like a slot 1 character. So now, if HP is 30% or less at the start of the character's attacking turn after receiving an attack 7 or more times in battle, then he will fully recover HP and get an additional damage reduction 30% starting from that turn. So basically, that's really wordy here. So what that means is after he takes 7 hits, starting from the next turn after he takes 7 hits, if your HP is below 30% at any point, then he will fully recover HP. He only gets this once, and then get an additional 30% damage reduction for the rest of the fight. So that's a really strong ability, basically a free Senzu and stuff. That's just really, really hard to get 7 or more times. So this is probably not going to proc until like turn 7. Maybe turn 5 if you get lucky at the earliest, but then you also have to be below 30% HP. That's pretty hard to do, especially because in today's meta, like, most enemies are just absolutely clapping you to 0, unless you are pretty much like fully tanking them or just dodging their attacks, right? So this is kind of interesting. I don't know. I suppose if you do get this off, then it will be really good. He's going to be a defensive monster for the rest of the battle because he'll have 50% damage reduction in his kit, and then you get the free heal. But yeah, I don't think proccing that is going to be very easy to do. Okay, so then moving on to his active skill. This is where he turns into giant form. So this can be activated when all allies attacking the same turn are superhero at the 3rd turn of battle, or when facing one enemy starting from the 6th turn. So the exact same transformation conditions as Gohan. Or, I'm sorry, not transformation, because he just has an active skill. Boo. So then he turns into his giant form that way. Okay, he's got crap ton of categories, so he is going to be a really, really solid unit here. And if we take a quick look here, he's on a lot of categories that are not, like, super, super relevant. Because, you know, the Gohan is just on all the typical, like, Saiyan categories and stuff. But this guy is on random categories that are actually really could use the help, for sure. Giant form here, you know, Connected Hope, Revenge, Namekians, hello? Like, Battle of Wits, he's on a lot of categories that really, really do need the help. Powerful Comeback. Ooh, this could actually be good for Carnival Goku. the Bird Coup to have his 200% powerful comeback leader skill. This guy's going to be on that team, so that's pretty solid for sure. So yeah, this guy's categories are looking a lot better. And then he's got some decent links, you know, a bunch of links that you would expect on Piccolo. The one that's weird is Power Bestowed by God. That's completely random. That leader skill is like a lot of like Zamasu cards and stuff have this. There's a lot of like villains on this Power Bestowed by God link skill. So that's really interesting that Piccolo has that. Yeah, so, not the most usable link for him, but the rest of his kit is pretty good. Yeah, and then, so let's go ahead and take a look at the giant form portion of him. So he works just typically like a regular giant form would. Wow, he gets a lot of attack here too. That's really nice. So, let's see. He receives an additional 2 key per key sphere obtained, so that's nice. And then he launches an additional attack that has a medium chance of becoming a super attack. That is really, really good for a giant form transformation. So giving himself the additional key is going to be nice because that's going to help him super. And then he can get the additional super here, and then if you give him additionals in his hidden potential, which I would recommend, then he could potentially get 3 super attacks per slot. And in the giant transformation, he is all 3 character slots, right? So he could potentially do 9 super attacks per turn. And if we take a look at the super attack effects here, he gets a great attack raise on the 12 key. And then if you're able to get the 18 key off with him, then he gets a massive attack raise. So those stack throughout the entire turn. So that is going to be really, really solid. If you're getting off like 6 super attacks or something with him, he's going to do a crap ton of damage for you, for sure, on this transform turn. So that is really solid. This Piccolo overall is looking really, really good. So yeah, I am excited about the Piccolo for sure. I think that people overall were just kind of upset about the fact that they don't get like full transformations and stuff. And I think looking at it more objectively, you know, salt aside, the Gohan is just not that good. He's gonna do a lot of damage, but like, who cares about damage, right? Defense is so important because if you're dying, then you can't attack if you're dead. So you need defense. But this Piccolo looks really, really solid defensively. So I am very excited to use this Piccolo for sure. Okay, so moving on, we also have a few banner units that got announced. So we have got the Teen Trunks and Goten here. And then we also have Kid Pan. We're going to save her for last because I'm most excited about that unit. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at their kit here. So they are Bond of Friendship sub leader skill with the 130. That's completely not usable, but sure, maybe for like Battlefield or something. Okay, so he randomly changes AGL key spheres to key spheres of another type. That's a new type of ability. We haven't seen that before. Taking a specific type of key sphere and changing it to a random type of, like, also a type key sphere. And not like Rainbow or something. We've never seen that before. Usually it will specify what type it changes it to. So that is kind of interesting. It's not as good as it changing it to like whatever type, like what typing are they? They're STR. So if it just said that it was changing them to STR, that would be better. For sure, obviously. So, okay, looking into the rest of their kit. They get 100% stats at the start of turn. Then they get an additional 10% stats per superheroes category ally on the team, so they can get up to 70% stats here, and that's when performing a super attack. So that is going to be a decent buff for them. And then they get an additional 100% stats with 3 or more key spheres obtained. They get an additional 50% defense and a high chance to crit with 5 key spheres, and then they get an additional attack 50% and a great chance of launching an additional with 7 or more key spheres. So they're decent. They're you know, pretty solid. If you're able to get the 7 key spheres off, which they do provide the key spheres for themselves with the orb changing, then, you know, having the high chance to crit, great chance to additional, and then all the stats built on top of each other, plus the attack and defense raise on super attack, that's going to be pretty solid. They're going to be decent, but they just don't compare to, because they're a banner unit and their stats starting out are just going to be a lot lower. They're not going to be amazing. They're not going to be hitting like 10, 12, 15 million attack stats like you'd expect with a kit like that. Just because in base the character's not as strong. because it's a banner unit. So this is not really the best way to build a banner unit. You definitely want them to be more defense-oriented, dodge-oriented, stun-oriented, support-oriented, right? So them not having any of that stuff in their kit is kind of an L. But they're going to be decent. They won't be the worst, for sure. They do have some decent links here. Tough as Nails is the major one that I'm looking at, for sure. That is on a lot of Piccolo characters. So there are going to be quite a few Piccolo characters being run nowadays with the new buffs. So that's going to be nice. And then they're on... Oh, this is another thing. So let's go ahead and take a look at their super attack here. So their super attack is the Fusion. So they get raised attack and defense for 1 turn, and they seal. So perfect. Now, having the Fusion as their super attack is really, really good because it gives them a few categories that's nice. Fusion, Time Limit, and Fuse Fighters. All 3 of those categories are only there because of their super attack, which is very, very nice because they're going to fuse into the Fat Gotenks or whatever, or like Viku. And then they will, yeah, and then they get these categories. So that is a big exciting portion for them to get some fusion buffs for sure. Okay, so that's pretty much everything to do with this kit. Kind of good, but not amazing. Okay, and then last but certainly not least here, we have Pan. So she is going to be Bond of Parent and Child, 130%. Not the greatest leader skill, but that's expected. So she gets Key 2, Attack and Defense 150%. Then she gets Superheroes category allies Key 1 and Attack and Defense 30%. Amazing. She's a support unit. Outright. That's really good. And then she gets an additional Key 1 and Attack and Defense 20% for characters who also belong to Bond of Parent and Child or Bond of Master and Disciple. So, this works the same way as like the Int Vados card or the what is it? The Int Trunks and Giru, where they have these multiple categories that they support. So basically, if you're on Superheroes, Bond of Parent and Child, and Bond of Master and Disciple, then you're getting a total of 70% stats. Because you're going to get the 30 here, and then this actually stacks. So if you're on Bond of Parent and Child, you get 20%. And then if you're also on the Bond of Master and Disciple, you get the 20% again. So for these new characters that are coming out that are on all 3 of these categories, they're going to be getting 70% support, including herself. She's going to be getting 70% support on top of the 150 that she already gets. So that's really, really solid. She's a great support unit for sure. And then she has a medium chance to evade, which is a little low. I would like that to be higher, but there's a reason it's lower. We'll check it out here. So plus an additional chance to evade 30% when facing one enemy. So if you're facing off against one enemy, then she has a total of 60% chance to evade, which is decent, I guess. That's almost good enough, right? And then she has an additional... launches an additional that has a high chance of becoming a super when facing 2 or more enemies. So she'll get that instead of the extra dodging, I suppose. And then she gets an additional 100% stats and high chance to perform a crit for 4 turns after evading an attack. So I guess that's decent. She's gonna, be throwing out some extra stats and stuff. So I suppose as long as you throw her in slot 1, if she dodges the first attack, then she gets the additional 100% defense here. That's going to be really solid with having the attack and defense raise on her super attack effect, and then she has a high chance to stun as well, which is good. Yeah, so I suppose as long as you throw her in slot 1 and she dodges the first attack, then she's probably going to be able to tank decently with all of the build-up that she has here. What are her stats looking like? Really low. Yeah, makes sense, being a support unit, they're usually not going to give her any major buffs or anything. So yeah, Pan is going to be a really, really solid support unit for sure. Definitely not like the hardest hitter or anything, but she will be a fun one to use for sure. So yeah, those are all of the new units. I am definitely the most excited for Piccolo. The Pan here is going to be decent. The Teen Trunks and Goten, decent, I suppose. The Orange Piccolo, though, he is going to be a monster. I think that this unit is going to grow on people. A lot of people are still salty at this unit, just because of, like, being paired with the Beast Gohan and not having a transformation and whatever, but I think that this unit is going to be insane. When people start using him, they're going to realize how good this unit actually is. But yeah, L, Dokkan, L, This is some bull. You suck. Dokkan, L. Just L.